Hey, good to have you here at Almost Home Yoga. We're going to spend a few minutes stretching out our legs. This is particularly for after we do repetitive motion exercise like running or cycling. So we're going to focus on the lower body because it's really important to keep those muscles stretched to keep our spines healthy. So we're going to start seated. You might want to have a yoga block, a firm pillow, or maybe a stack of books taped together or tied together, and a necktie or a yoga strap. So we're going to come down to the floor and start seated. Safe way to get to the floor: take one leg behind you, keep the front knee over the ankle, float the back knee down, and bring your knees together. So I'm going to sit up on my yoga block, especially if your hamstrings are tight. It can be tough to get your pelvis perpendicular to the ground. So you want to get your pelvis up so that your knees can drop down. So we're just going to take a few deep breaths to settle our bodies and our mind. Just inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose. Perhaps congratulating yourself on your workout, your cycling or your running or whatever it was. And also already giving yourself a pat on the back for doing this brief stretching and breathing. And we'll get going. So we want to kind of counteract those forward motion repetitions, and we're going to do that by almost like pretending like we're cycling backwards. So take your arms up, but with our upper body, and you're just going to take your elbows back, almost like doing the backstroke, but we're keeping our elbows bent. Just do that a few times, and then pull both elbows way back, lift your chest, and exhale, gently round the upper back, bringing them together. So there shouldn't be any pain in the spine. Come on, back to neutral, and let's do that again. Just walk your elbows back. Rotations. Keep the neck long and soft. And then draw those elbows way back. Let's lift your chest. And exhale, hollow out. Just rest your hands on your knees. Do that same motion with your spine. Inhaling, lift your chest. Exhale, hollow out. Maybe just twist a little bit to one side. Checking in with those oblique muscles, the muscles around your hips, the stabilizers, the glute medius. Good. Come on back to neutral. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on our calves, our hamstrings, and our quads, and we're going to do it both standing, laying down, and seated. Not necessarily in that order. So actually, let's start by just taking a downward facing dog. So come onto your knees and have your hands about one hand length forward of your shoulders, and then curl your toes under. This is just a check-in. Lift your hips way up, take your ribs towards your thighs, drop your heels. You don't have to straighten your legs all the way if your hamstrings are tight. So just checking in with the back body, the calves, the hamstrings. It's a nice shoulder opener too. So there's our check-in. Float your knees down, shift your hips to one side, and we're going to come on to our back. So first, a very basic hamstring stretch that's really going to get into the belly of the muscle without taxing the hip joint and the low back. So what you want to do is, you don't even need your tie yet for this. You're just going to hold on to the back of your thigh, interlace your hands, flex that foot. And on an exhale, keeping the thigh firmly planted toward the rib cage. Just inhale, straighten your leg as far as it'll go. Draw your toes back toward your knee. You might feel it in your lower leg too. Exhaling, soften, and straightening. So maybe softening on the inhale instead, and using the exhale to lengthen. We're going to do this 5 times each leg to draw the toes back toward the knee. One more. And gently release. So it doesn't matter if you get your legs straight, right? It's just all about keeping keeping the thigh firm against the rib cage. And that's where you're really getting to work in the muscles. So we'll go to the other side, exhaling, lengthening, inhaling, softening, exhaling, lengthening. Use your breath, inhaling, softening, exhaling, lengthening, inhaling, softening. 2 more. And gently release. Good. So just that one thing here, right? Actually, while we're here, let's do our glute too. So take that first leg, cross the ankle over the thigh, draw that thigh towards you, and release your hand around the bottom leg and just gently draw the leg towards you. So the bottom foot can be nice and relaxed. Keep this top foot, toes drawn back toward the knee. That's going to help protect your knee. Keeps the shin and the foot in line. Just a couple breaths here. Maybe on the exhale, you go a little deeper. Maybe rock a little bit. And then we'll go right to the other side. Keep that top foot flexed. Just get into that glute medius. And gently release. So roll yourself to one side. Come back to all fours. So that you can curl your toes under. Again, my hands are slightly forward to my shoulders. Lift your hips up and back. And take that downward dog again. And just kind of walk your legs out and check in. See if it's starting to feel a little more open, less tight. Good. On exhale, you're going to float your knees down. So pad your knees. If you need, you can always put a wrinkle in your mat or tuck a towel under your knees, something like that, right? So we're going to just be on our knees for just a moment. So I'm going to bring my right knee forward. I'll be your mirror. You bring your right knee foot forward, knee right over the ankle. Let's just start to explore the hip flexor. So top of the opposite thigh, and then on your exhale, pull back, draw your toes back toward your knee. Maybe you rotate outward toward the foot a little bit. You're going to start to feel it in the IT band. So let's do that a couple more times. Inhaling, lifting, stretching the hip flexor, and exhaling. Drawing back, rotating a little, get into that IT band. Good. And exhale. So we're going to come to a nice, deep runner's lunge. So stretch that back leg out behind you, really reaching that heel back. Maybe you bring both hands to your thigh. Make sure you're nice and stable. And then exhaling, keep that back leg straight and inhaling. Again, just rotating as you straighten the front leg toward the knee. Breathe, use your breath. Pull your low belly in, just slowly and gently float the knee down, and we'll switch sides. So being pretty efficient with our time, right? But also enjoying the stretch. Maybe you bring your hands to your thigh. Feel that for a moment. Get that deep stretch in the hip flexor. And then on exhale, lifting up and back and maybe rotating toward that outer knee. Inhale through the motion, exhaling into the hip flexor. Inhale through the motion, exhaling into the hamstring IT band. One more time. Inhale, lift, and exhaling, draw the toes back. Come on, back body weight on that front foot. Make sure you're nice and stable. So you got some space between your knee and your foot horizontally. Curl that back toe under, lifting into that nice high lunge. Maybe the hands come to the knee. Then on exhale, slowly and gently, pulling your hips up and back, drawing those toes toward the knee and maybe rotating toward that outer leg. Ooh. Nice. Bring your body weight back onto that front foot and just scoot the back leg to meet the front. Soften the body, the knees, reach the spine out. Inhaling. Come on up to standing. Take your arms up in the air. And exhale, let them drop down. So this is where you might want to have a tie also. We're going to do like a dancer pose, quad stretch. You can always hold on to the wall. If you can't get a hold of your foot, you can just take the tie around your ankle, right? But if you can get a hold of your foot, do that. So it's great to do a one-legged balance if you can, but holding onto the wall is fine, right? So try and keep the knees together. Maybe if you're feeling kind of bendy, you could bring your other arm around. Stand up really tall. You can maybe start to push your foot into your hand. Make it a little bit back bend. You might feel that somewhere else in the quad muscle. And exhaling, gently release and walk it out. We'll just do that same thing on the other side. So turning around if you want to hold on to the wall. Switch the tie if you need. Take a few breaths, settling in. So your drishti, your steady gaze on one thing that's not moving will help you balance. And exhaling, gently release, walk it out. We're going to take one big wide straddle, stretch those inner thighs a little bit, right? So big, wide open stance. Maybe your ankles are right under your wrists. Use your belly muscles to fold straight over. Great place to use a book or a block. We're just going to shift from side to side, just feeling those inner thighs. Just maybe 3 or 4 or 5 times each side. So you can get into a little routine, doing this on your own. Just remember it's calves, hamstrings, quads, maybe a little inner thigh. So let's turn our toes all the way around to one side so that we can come down into that low lunge, back to all fours, and then we're going to sit down. And before we do our seated stretches, I want to show you this kind of cool exercise. So I'm just going to cross one foot over my thigh. Essentially, you're going to push your heel one way and pull your outer foot the other way. So I'm pushing my heel down, I'm pulling the outside, my pinky toe side of the foot toward me. And then I'm going to switch. I'm going to grab the other side of my heel, and I'm going to take the ball of the foot away. So be careful of your knee here, right? So imagine if you had a shoe insole and you were doing this. You should get one. So I've got just a shoe insole here, right? Well worn. So what we're doing is we're just kind of folding the foot in opposite directions, just like we would with that shoe insole. Okay? So heel comes forward, big toe goes away, then heel comes down, pinky toe comes up, big toe goes away, heel comes up, inner heel goes down, pinky toes come up. So just try that a few more times. Ball of the foot down, heel up, outer heel up, inner heel down, pinky toe up. So I have found I have some arthritis in my big toe joint, and all the muscles and the bones get kind of tight in the arches. And this has been really great at relieving that. So just shake that out and notice how that feels. We'll just go to the other side. So outer heel up as ball of the foot goes down, trying to relax it. Then inner heel down as the pinky toes come up. Just keep on trying that. So really getting into those foot muscles. Great, nice little diversion there. So let's come back and just check in with our down dog. Lift those hips up and back. Start to really feel, especially those lower legs, nice and open. Great. And come on down. So we're just going to do one more seated stretch. We're going to do just a forward fold. So again, sitting up on the block if your hips are tight, but if your knees aren't in contact with the ground, just be careful, keep a little micro bend in them so you don't hyperextend your knees. So draw your toes back. Let's start with a flat back, using a strap. It's helpful. You can shift from side to side. So maybe you get hold of your toes or your feet, reach the crown of the head out long. So when our legs are straight, we're really taxing more the attachments, the knee and the hip attachments to the hamstring. If you keep your knees bent, you're working more at the belly of the muscle. You feel the difference. So just decide where you need to be. We're going to take about 10 deep breaths. So again, this is really important for our spinal health. Keep that back of the neck long. Do any gentle rocking from side to side if it feels good. Use your exhales to get a little softer. One more deep exhale. Rest your hands on the ground, let go of the tie. Use your hands to help yourself back up. Take your shoulders up, back, and down. We're going to bend our knees. Take one more down dog. Check in. See how our back body's feeling. Hands forward to the shoulders. Curl the toes under. Lift the hips up and back. Just take a couple breaths. Pull your low belly and flip those knees down. We're going to do kind of a modified up dog back bend. So just be mindful of your low back, right? Hollow out the belly as you roll yourself forward into a modified plank pose. And then see how it feels. Just relax your feet. Drop your hips a little bit. Just rock from side to side. So we did a big forward fold, so being gentle with your back. Inhale, pull the low belly in. Put the big toes together and rock your hips back into a child's pose. And this is where we'll finish. So if you have trouble with your knees, you can tuck that block or towel or a blanket or something in between your knees, your hips and your heels. Just take 3 deep breaths here. See if you can really release any tension in your body. Stay here for as long as you like. When you're ready to get out, plant your hands, pull your low belly in, rock back onto one hip. Sit up tall. Bring your hands to your heart center. Inhale, get really, really long in the spine. Exhaling, soften your jaw and bow your head to your heart. Again, giving yourself that mental pat in the back for showing up. taking care of yourself so you can be your best for others. Spirit in me honors the spirit in you. Namaste. Have a great day.